So if you play first-person shooters, you'll notice that pretty much all games in the genre have the same thing in common.
They're all boots on the ground!
These games are 3D, but your movement options are basically 2D. There's some games where you can play exclusively by looking at the minimap, and even advanced movement games still bring the player back to the ground at some point. That's why I'm making Astro, a zero-gravity multiplayer movement shooter where your boots never touch the ground. Like, look at this complex gunfight. There's so many angles to consider, and you have to balance movement and gunplay. Plus, even if you die, you still get to look at some satisfying ragdoll physics.
Look at the motion on those limbs, and the way that body spins. So chaotic and voluptuous.
Okay, but there's a serious problem with all this fancy movement tech which I've been ignoring for far too long. Our brains weren't made for zero gravity, and watching Astro made a lot of people feel nauseous. Oh gosh, I can't watch this game. I'm gonna puke.
Headache.
I want to play some people that can play this. Just watching made Portals and VR this, but this is the true motion sickness. Fire. Can't wait to get motion sickness. I'm gonna be gobbling down those teleport balls. I don't want motion sickness to be a deal breaker for players, because more players means more money, and more money means more clubbing. Eating meat lover pizza, a soft pretzel, a brownie tuxedo sundae, and a case of sushi rolls sounds nauseating, but that's not nearly as bad as rolling in Astro. In other 3D games, you can pitch and yaw, but in Astro, you can pitch, yaw, and roll. Because you're free to rotate on all axes, when you look up, to the right, and then back to center, you get this side effect of being rolled to the left. Then, to stay aligned with the floor, you need to roll in the opposite direction using the Z and C keys. Unfortunately, a lot of people get motion sickness when they have to constantly adjust the roll all game. Now, if I was a AAA studio, I probably would have just scrapped rolling to appeal to a wider audience, but I wanted to provide the true zero gravity experience. So let's get to work on a solution.
Also, please go wishlist the game on Steam. The link is in the description.
One of the things that affects roll nausea is the aspect ratio. I actually discovered this by accident when I was testing multiplayer with 2 clients. When the aspect ratio is a square, your vertical and horizontal field of view is the same, which minimizes the screen space velocity of perceived objects. You can see on a large aspect ratio, details on the edge move super fast, which is more disorienting. After I had this realization, I decided to try and artificially make the aspect ratio be closer to square. I created these vignettes to block out the side of the screen, and then I even made a stylized version to look like the inside of a helmet. This visor effect only decreases the horizontal field of view by 7%, so we're going to need to bump it up. Yeah, that's more like it. This is a 20% decrease in horizontal field of view, so now the aspect ratio is 3:2 versus 16:9. Then I showed the results to my brother, and he said, "It looks so bad." So I went back to the drawing board to find a new approach. I already knew that if I increased the field of view, that would help with nausea. So I figured, let's just increase it even more. Yeah, unfortunately, increasing the field of view didn't really pan out. I need to give the control of nausea to the player, so that beginners can feel comfortable without ruining the experience of pros. I spent hours pondering this problem, and then it hit me.
Boots on the ground.
Whoa, let me explain. I'm not getting rid of zero gravity. I'm simply allowing the player to use their magnetic boots to lock onto any surface. Currently, the player already has access to the glove magnet, which is in their left hand. This allows them to push off surfaces and attract objects. The new boot magnets will attract the player directly to the surface beneath them, and this locks them to the surface for normal aiming controls. Now you mostly just use the roll keys to align yourself to the surface you want to walk on, whereas before you had to constantly micro-adjust the roll keys just to stay level. Ironically, zero gravity actually feels more fun because the player can choose when they want to use it, while always having the option to stay grounded. Also, allowing the player to walk on surfaces has introduced a new dynamic that's different from other games where two players can be fighting while standing on differently oriented surfaces. This is pretty trippy and it's a lot of fun to peek players from surfaces they don't expect. So I started testing in single player, which I'm guessing is how you'll be playing Astro. After I got the base walking feeling pretty good, I wanted to add sprinting to the game. But the thing is, we're kind of running out of keys. I had to play around with the controls to make the glove magnet use the shift key. How does this solve the sprinting problem? Well now, when you lock to a surface and then activate the glove magnet, it will lock to the same surface, pulling you into a mag sprint. A huge benefit to sprinting was that I can lower the base walking speed to feel closer to other shooters, since walking was either too fast for gunplay or too slow for getting around the map. Another thing that boots on the ground improves is diversifying the guns. The sniper and the shotgun used to have the same exact playstyle of just zooming at enemies and one-shotting them. But now, the sniper has less accuracy in hipfire and can only be scoped while grounded, so it's no longer as overpowered at fast speeds. For the shotgun, I wanted to give it more movement tech. And since you guys comment on every video requesting knockback force when you shoot, I figured it was about time I added it to the game.
Let's go!
The other problem this really helps with is stop and go gameplay. In most shooters, when you see an enemy, you stop, shoot them, and then keep moving. But since Astro is momentum based, when you stop to shoot an enemy, you lose all your momentum and you have to start right over after, which is frustrating. With boots on the ground, gunplay is easier and more accurate, and you can quickly transition into zero gravity movement with a mag push off when you need to get back your momentum. Before we go any further, it's time for a Discord bio review.
A cube of tungsten.
Maybe I'm pretty dense.
I give it all I got. That's all I gotta give. I'm on the part of the second. It's just like.
If you haven't joined our Discord yet, please do. It's where we hold our playtests, and it's a safe space for everyone except for mods. If you saw my previous video, you'll know that this is a new map. I made a lot of improvements to my custom map builder geochem, and we're really getting close to our target art style. I decided to pull a big switch up and go for a cartoony sci-fi look. I think the crisp edges play to the strengths of geochem, and the toon lighting makes everything a lot more colorful. I also added some cool looking lights, with each having a different cartoon effect. When you get close enough, you can see the light glare. I was thinking colored lighting could be an integral part of the style, so let me know if you guys have any bright ideas. The main benefit of these new changes has been the improved performance. Before, I used to get around 50 FPS with realistic lighting, but with the new build, I'm pushing 500 FPS. I could have achieved this realistic look with good performance if I had opted for baked lighting, but going that route would have prevented me from releasing the map builder to players, since you can only bake lighting in the project editor. Overall, the new sci-fi look was a huge upgrade from our previous dreary gray maps. Map art has always been something we've struggled to get right, and I'm definitely open to suggestions, but for now, I'm really happy with the new changes. I want to take a brief moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, honey. Honey is a sweet and viscous substance produced by bees. It is primarily composed of glucose, fructose, and sucrose, and it also contains flavonoids which reduce stress and lower the risk of chronic diseases like cancer. New studies suggest that it may even be an effective cough suppressant. Overall, honey is a superb substance that you can buy at your local grocery store. Thanks again to Honey for fueling this video. But seriously guys, if you want Astro to succeed, please consider supporting our new Patreon. In the past, I've rejected offers for funding because I didn't want to make any promises I can't keep, but now I'm fully committed to releasing this game. Thanks for watching. Peace.